come out, take any credit, He's preparing for his message, and supporting us, calling us all day to make sure everything was going well. I think the implication here was that we didn't care, and nothing could be further from the truth. All of our hearts. 60 years since 1959, our family's been involved in this church. We've always responded to Christ. The implication that we didn't care, to me, a little bit harsh. Joel's prepared his message, ready to come and speak tomorrow night, or certainly on the weekend for his message on the weekend.
And Doctor, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. The producer is giving me a wrap, which means they want to get to something else. But real quick, before we let you go, folks do need help. How can they get in touch with the church, or if they'd like to donate? What is the process? What is the process?
They can bring anything really right now. As far as donations, we got everything we need. Constant communication with Georgia Brown. They don't need anything else. You can just check our website as far as opportunities to volunteer. Come and volunteer. We have mental health professionals come in today. We have several doctors and nurses that come in our medical clinic. A lot of people are in need. Everybody's rising. As far as donations, right now we don't need any donations. If you want to volunteer, check our website.
You have plenty of room for folks to come if they need help. We do have. This is a big facility. If the city of Houston needs us, we're open. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're going to send it back to you guys at the station.
All right, Anisha. So we see Lakewood, there's other churches around the area open as well. And we have so many folks who have come from out of town to help in need.
Yeah, and we're glad to see that they have everything they need for now. So that was some valuable information there. We want to check in with our Brandon Walker. He is along I-10 and Dairy Ashford. He is with the people who become our local heroes now, the Cajun Navy. Brandon?
Yes, Sarah, there are quite a few volunteers out here. The situation is dire. I want to set the scene first. You can take a look right here. We're at the Katy Freeway inbound. This is the on-ramp. They're using this as a launch point to get anything that floats essentially into the water. They're taking those vessels this way, if you follow me this way, and hoping to get in where you can see that boat over there about to launch. The problem here is you've got the situation with the dams, right? You've got the reservoirs, all of that water being pumped into Buffalo Bayou, and that is impacting folks who live here, quite a few people, hundreds of people in an apartment complex. I want to talk to one of the many volunteers out here, Mr. James, sir, for a second. Just walk us through what you've been doing today and what the situation is. What do you see out there?
So the water's been rising up, and we're just trying to get people in and out. I personally helped some guys do about 5 trips. So what's going on is that we're trying to get them out of Park Meadow. I believe it's Park Meadow Memorial. There's one. There's another apartment complex right next. I think it's a Grant. We're just trying to get them out. We've been dropping off at CVS, and then we've also been dropping them off back here. There's 2 points where we can get them some help. But there's a lot of people back here who still need some help. We're trying to get them out. Some will want to be hard-headed and say that they got enough water. But if your electricity goes, listen, it's hard. Get out. Get out, because we won't be able to get to you after this when it comes nightfall. So we just want them to get out.
Right, and the key point that you made is that the water is rising. We had issues getting here because many of the access points to I-10 from the south side are impacted by Buffalo Bayou.
Exactly. And so whatever's going on at Addicts and Barker's reservoirs, that's what's going on down here. It's coming down, and the water was actually lower early when I was out here. Now it's up higher, so it's up to my waist over here now. That went up about 2 feet, so.
Right, and sir, you mentioned that you just wanted to get out here and help, but Sarah and Keith, we're seeing that many Houstonians who themselves have been impacted by the flood have decided to come in and help others. Tell us your story.
Well, I live in Meyerland area, and of course you guys saw that. I was there for a couple of days also helping my neighbors over there. Decided to go to Katy to see what's going on at my store, and then I came over here, and I saw this, and I just stopped immediately and just helped out. That's it.
All right, well, thank you so much, sir, for your help. I'm going to let you go because I know that you want to get back to work. We truly appreciate it, sir. Also a veteran of our Navy, Mr. James here, himself a Meyerland resident, had some water in his area. You know what they've been dealing with in Meyerland. He's decided to come out here and help others as this situation remains dire. You can see now people being rescued on a small boat there. Volunteers are calling for essentially anything that floats. We've seen jet skis, we've seen small boats, we've seen larger boats, all being launched here on this on-ramp on-ramp to Katy Freeway eastbound here near Derry Ashford. The water is rising. The bayou is just over there. It's being impacted by the situation with the Addicks Reservoir and the Barker Reservoir. And so you're seeing that the water is beginning to rise here and compromising this area. You've got some 500 people, we are told, in these apartment complexes, many apartment complexes here along the energy corridor, people trying to get out. But as Mr. James mentioned, he was talking to some folks who didn't want to leave. But as he put it, and if you're watching us right now, this water continues to rise, and there may not be a way for you to get out any later, especially when things get dark out here, because crews may not be able to get to you. So if you're watching us and if you hear us right now and you're in this area that's being compromised by a rising Buffalo Bayou, it is in your best interest to heed the advice of these many volunteers who are doing their part to help you get out. That boat over there is launching. As Mr. James told me, they're trying to get these boats in right here, cut through the park and into that area over there. In the distance, they find that that's an easier route because the water is still a little shallow on that end. But as he mentioned, he said is some 7 feet of water in some parts, and that will continue to be the case as this water continues to rise here, and it's going to begin to compromise the Katy Freeway. So Keith and Sarah, we're going to send things back to you all as you see more boats making their way here, as many volunteers are responding to the call to get out here and help in a very dire situation along Buffalo Bayou in the energy corridor as the bayou continues to rise and many folks trying to get out. You can see a family there just being rescued and loading onto a truck, an image that we'll see throughout the evening here at this location. Let's send things back to you.
We know this area so well, Brandon, and it's so strange to see it being used for this purpose. Brandon, what was that gentleman saying?
We're hearing James, and give me 1 second. Mr. James, can you come here for 1 second? Tell me what you're hearing and where you're getting it from.
Well, I got it from these people right here. They just said that they're sending people back out because apparently the levee broke. So I just want to get the word out to the people that's in the buildings that's just refusing to get out. Get out. Get out. It's going to be a good long time before we can get back to them. So
thank you so much, sir. Yeah. So you heard it there. We'll see if we can get that confirmed, that they're having some issues with potentially a levee over here along the Buffalo Bayou, and that just reinforces the claim to get out if you can. You've got a lot of volunteers and many more people trying to get here to help these folks. So we'll be out here and monitor this situation as more and more people begin to get out amid a rising Buffalo Bayou and potentially levees that are being compromised right now.
Yeah, Brandon, hey, Justin wants to talk to you for a second. Yeah, please,
okay,
Justin.
Thank you, Keith. Hey, Brandon, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Hey, just a quick update on that. This is straight from Harris County Flood Control. Just tweeted out that neither Addicks or Barker dams have breached. So just to repeat that, so if you could repeat that on the air for us and all the viewers, that Harris County Flood Control has just tweeted out that said neither of them, neither Barker nor Addicks Dam, have breached. So the levees are okay at this point.
Okay. Okay, well, that is good to hear. Thank you for that, Frank. So we'll reiterate that point, that things are holding steady. There has not been a breach, but as we walk here along the freeway, you can see that there are trucks upon trucks lined up here of people trying to get other people out. That family just rescued. These folks here seem to be more volunteers. They've got their boat ready, trying to get back there with water that continues to rise, and some 400 or 500 people at one apartment complex we heard over a walkie-talkie radio looking to be helped. I want to see if we can just ask these guys 1 second. Excuse me, sir. Where are you from and what has the situation been?
We're from Katy over in Cinco Ranch, and I just know they got pretty much all of it covered down here. They said anybody who's still in there wants to stay. So I think everybody's pulling all the stuff out right now.
Okay, so just describe to us what you've seen back there at least.
Houses full of water and people losing everything. Anything they've ever loved, it's gone.
Right, and that's the situation. And so for folks who say that they want to stay, despite the fact that what you've seen back there, what do you tell them as a bit of advice to get out?
Beg them to leave, but they just tell like they're certain that they're not.
All right, well, thank you so much, sir.
No worries, man.
And one of the things that we did hear, Keith and Sarah, on many of the walkie-talkie systems that we've been listening to from many of these volunteer groups, they're asking folks who want to get out of their homes to put a white sheet or something out there to signal that SOS so that they can be helped, because it's really hard to coordinate who is where and who needs what. And so that is what we're seeing right here in the energy corridor area.
And you know what, Brandon, I just want to get your take. It's been so unbelievable to see this makeshift dispatch be set up on this app that the Cajun Navy is using to send boats to people. These are just regular people.
Yeah, they are. Many of them from the organization, the Cajun Navy, from Louisiana. But the call is coming out, and you've got people coming from all over the state of Texas and Louisiana. I think I read this morning that there were some 250 people that the Cajun Navy were sending from Louisiana today, on top of the number of people, the dozens, who are already here. And they're doing what you see right now. They've got their boats. They're headed out there into the front lines to get those people who are stuck. We're right on the bayou right now, as you can see, and you can see how high it is and what they're braving and their waders as they make their way on the other side of the barrier there to 3 to 4 apartment complexes that are being compromised at this hour by the rising Buffalo Bayou.
Yeah, and while we have you, Brandon, we just want to reiterate, because we don't want to cause undue panic, that there have been no breaches, so people don't have to worry about that. But Justin just told us a short while ago that where you are right now, the Buffalo Bayou is 2.5 feet out of its bank, so it's not a great situation. But we certainly want to reiterate that there has been no breach.
And one more point. And one more point, Keith, while you all have us, and this is coming from the 2 volunteers we just spoke to, there are some people back there who are saying they want to stay, and they're advising you not to do that. They're suggesting that if you see somebody out here who's willing to help you and get you out of the house, heed their advice to get out. On the walkie-talkie system, many of the folks who are participating by way of the organization Cajun Navy are calling for folks to put a white sheet out, something just to answer the call. And the requests coming in are coming from families. We're hearing many pregnant women and children who are needing to get out, people who are seeking medical treatment or need medical assistance or who are out of their medicine. Just quite a few dire stories here of folks in need of help coming from many of these apartment complexes, including, as you see there, the Village on Memorial townhomes, as more and more boats come in. So again, this is coming from volunteers who are seeing this and who are being able to get back there and seeing that bayou as it continues to flow and rise, to get out if you can and heed the advice that they're giving to get out of here.
Just absolutely amazing system being set up by regular, everyday men and women.
Yeah, Brandon, thank you so much. And it's all about giving yourself options, folks. If somebody is knocking on your door and you have water even approaching your house, now's a good time to go.
Yeah, get out. Okay, so the east side of our area has already been hit hard like everyone else, and they're going to take the brunt of a lot of the weather system today. Jonathan Martinez is in East Houston at I-10 and 610. And Jonathan, you're inside of a flooded or at a flooded grocery store.
Yeah, guys, in fact, as you just mentioned, we are at 610 and I-10. Take a look behind me here. This is a Fiesta store, that is. On our way to our assignment about 15 to 20 minutes ago, we were stopped by a couple of people who said that they saw people out here looting. We heard that from one group of people. We didn't know if they were telling the truth or not, but as we made our way about a half a block up the way farther, we were stopped by another group of individuals who said, hey, y'all have got to get down to that Fiesta. Y'all have got to put those people on TV. They are going inside. They are literally looting, walking out with stuff, and it is dangerous. Put those fools, as they say, their quote, put those fools on TV and shame them. We got up here. As we got up here about 10 minutes thereafter, we saw about a half a dozen police officers with guns drawn. Some of them coming out of that store there, others here holding some of the people back. We spoke to one of the officers. He told us, unfortunately, that is what they came upon. They got reports as they were patrolling just down the street there that folks were looting, not just this Fiesta store, but take a walk with me over here. They said that there's a shoe store down the way, that they've been responding to reports of this all down 610 here at I-10. One individual told the officer that he's already lost about maybe $10,000 to $15,000 worth of shoes because individuals, we don't know what their motives are. If you look just underneath there off to the side there, they may very well work here and they may just be checking on the business. But as the officers are responding out here, they are seeing people coming out of some of these stores down the way. We know that some individuals came out with shoe boxes and shoes, according to the police officers. So about maybe 5 minutes ago or so, those officers all loaded up in a dump truck. I asked him, I said, is this something that y'all are dealing with a lot right now? And unfortunately, he says, yes, we've been working this all day. In fact, they jumped in a city dump truck not too long ago, and they're driving down the road. He goes, we don't know where we're going next, but we are responding to yet another call. So even out of all of this tragedy that it is that we are dealing with right now, we still have people out here doing you can't even describe it. It's just despicable. In fact, the Harris County District Attorney's Office tweeting not too long ago that people who are out here looting, you will be punished to the maximum extent that the law will allow. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's up to, initially they were talking 2 to 20 years. They're saying the minimum in this case is going to be 5 years. So we all know that we are in dire straits right now. We know that situations are bad and circumstances are terrible, but the last thing that you want to consider right now is committing a crime. Not only are you putting yourself in danger again, I mean, look at the water out here. It's so incredibly deep, and you have debris washed up on the road here, but you are also putting the officers in danger, in jeopardy. They were out here. I'll share some of the pictures that I was able to snap before they took off with guns drawn. Water waist deep, chest deep, with their guns drawn, literally holding those guns over their head, and they're responding to looting at some of the major stores on a major thoroughfare. We could tell you that on the way out here, we saw cars, again, going in the opposite direction, and we have to be mindful because while we are in the street right now, it is still open. Some people are still accessing the street, but unfortunately, that's what officers are having to deal with right now. Cars going every which direction that they are. You get up to a scene and you don't know if the families out here are just stopping to wait to look. You don't know if they're part of a group that may be, in fact, going into stores. But, that's what it is that they're having to deal with right now. And unfortunately, it's just a bad situation. So we cannot stress enough, right now is not the time that folks need to be getting out and looting or doing anything of the sort. Because, again, you've got officers out there trying to respond to as many calls. You've got life-threatening situations for some folks, yet they're having to deal with this right here. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and let you go right now. We're going to see if we can go catch up with those officers to give us a little bit more of the information that they were giving us. Yes. But I can leave you with the fact that the officer, I said, how many folks did you see when you responded out here? Same thing happened to them. Folks stopped them down there. He said when they got here, they saw about 20 people coming up to the liquor store on the side of Fiesta. They're coming out with liquor bottles. That's not what we need to see right now, especially not in our city dealing with what it is that we're dealing with. So, guys, we'll send things back over to you. We will see if we can catch up with those officers a little bit down the ways.
Put those fools on TV is what those officers said, Jonathan.
It was, I'm paraphrasing, it was pretty close to a quote. Well, no, not from the officers. This is from the people who stopped us to let us know. Okay. The second set of people, the first group told us, hey, we think there are people down there looting at Fiesta. You need to go check it out. But the second group that we did see, that was their direct quote. You need to go put those fools on TV and shame them. And that's a quote from them. And lo and behold, we get up. Fortunately, those fools were long gone, but we did see officers out here who had to chase them out here with guns. Yeah. So we're going to go see if we can catch up with those officers and see what it is that they're dealing with now.
Okay, John, thank you. Yeah, and they should be ashamed of themselves because as much as everyone is going through right now, and there's really no need because there's so much help out there right now that you don't have to resort to looting to get what you need.
That's a good point.
Yeah, yeah, special kind of fool to be doing something like that. So
yeah, some choice words, definitely. And think about it. Every officer who is diverted to something like this is being taken away from rescue efforts. And right now, that is of critical importance. We're trying to triage situations ourselves in the newsroom to determine how